Portsmouth Historical Society was established in 1938 and the main building that it has is donated by the Union Congregational Society in that year, and it was organized at that time. The location of the Historical Society on the corner of Union Street and East Main Road was once the Christian church in Portsmouth. There was one church built here in 1824, and then another church was moved, and it was this one was built in 1865. The Historical Society has this corner of the property where we have not only the church, but we have the original one-room schoolhouse built in 1725, and we also have the original town hall from the early 19th century. This church was used by the Society until it disbanded in 1939. The organ in the church here that was brought in 1902 from Emmanuel Church down in Newport. This room is what we call the Julia Ward Howe room. There are quite a few pieces of furniture and so on, like the bed and the chair, that came from the summer home of Julia Ward Howe. At the turn of the last century, Dr. Benjamin Green was a physician in town, probably one of the 3 or 4 physicians in the town. Portsmouth was a very small town then, probably with about 2,500 people or so in it. And what he did when he died was his medical equipment was left to the Historical Society. Also in the museum, among the other artifacts that we have here in the museum, are a number of Revolutionary War cannonballs. We have various other artifacts from World War I and World War II. We have quite a few other things, some ancient Indian stones that were probably used for grinding. We have ship models, we have Victrolas and radios and all sorts of early artifacts from local history. This is a Chickering piano that dates back probably to about 1858-59. One of the really unique things that we have here in the Historical Society Museum is this hearse. Because this was donated to the Society in 1943, and at that time it was about 75 years old, it goes back to about the 1870s or so. The southernmost school that was distinguished from the northernmost school when they were authorized by the council back in the early 1720s. It's been restored. We have quite a few old desks here from different vintages, and the building itself is probably the oldest in the state of Rhode Island, the oldest school building in the state of Rhode Island, and possibly the oldest, there's some consideration it might be the oldest in the country.
Hello again and welcome to this edition of Portsmouth This Week, the voice of Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Our guest today is town historian and president of the Portsmouth Historical Society, Jim Garman. Jim, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Doug.
It's always good to talk about this stuff. The Historical Society seems to be very busy these days. So why don't we start with what is the Society supposed to do? What is their mission?
Well, what we're trying to do is to energize an organization that needs energizing, and to bring to the people of Portsmouth the idea that we have a very, very rich history. I think we got started on this with the 375th 3 years ago and generated a lot of interest in it. And with a really full schedule of activities, as we're going to talk about, we want to really encourage people to join the Historical Society, come to our lectures, come to our meetings, and all the different activities that we have.
Yeah, it's worth noting that just about everything that the Society, and I have to say that I'm also on the board of the Society, but just about everything we do requires members, and we need member involvement. Do you want to talk about that? Why do we need members?
Members and volunteers.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different aspects where people can help out in terms of the Society. First of all, it's just a matter of being a member, and it's relatively inexpensive to be a member, and we feel that it gets you a newsletter which announces all of our events. We do really good press. We get really good press in terms of the things that we do, but we really want to have, well, we want to have 1,000 members, and should have that in a town of 17,000 plus. It's just really, there's so much, and we have museums that where we keep artifacts. We have a lot of activities involving trying to get the people in the town involved in all that we're doing, and we're doing well with that. We've had a few lectures this fall or this winter that were sold out, and there's just a lot that we want to do with the organization, and Portsmouth has such a rich history. It's amazing. I mean, 370 what, 9 years now. And it's been here so long, and it still maintains somewhat of a rural character, and there's just very rich. And we have good resources, we have good archives to sort of enable people to look back at history and see what's going on.
Yeah. At the beginning of the program, we saw a short video that you went through and pointed out some of the displays and other things we have. We have a lot of artifacts and things from the whole history of our town. How many members do we have now?
Well, in the last year and a half, we've gone from 85 memberships to 480. And we really worked hard to solicit the town. And I think part of it is due to our programs, that we have so much going on that I think that people get interested and get enthusiastic. And it's frustrating sometimes. I do a lot of lecturing, and what's really frustrating sometimes is that we sell out and get waiting lists and things like that. And hopefully we'll be able to have a little bit larger venue soon and be able to have larger crowds.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
We're just about to kick off another membership drive, so people might expect to see in their mailbox a letter soliciting membership. And there are other reasons too, because almost a lot of the things we do, particularly relating to the facilities, require money, which requires grants.
Right.
And in order to get grants, you need to show community support and community involvement.
Yeah.
And that's another reason to join. Even if you pay $15 for a individual membership, you're a number that we can use.
That's right.
Going forward in this stuff.
And we are going to work on grants. We are working on grants. We've gotten a couple so far, and we've got more coming. We'll talk about that maybe.
Now, how can people join? Besides, of course, they can take that letter, which will have a membership application. But if somebody wanted to join today, what would they do?
I think the thing to do is go to our website, which is portsmouthhistorical.org, and look under membership, and the membership application is there. You send it in with your fee, and there's a wide range of memberships, everything from individuals to family to patrons to contributing members, and it really a number of opportunities for people to donate to the Historical Society. And what you get for that primarily is a newsletter every month, which gives you all the information about what we're doing. And that's really then you can be ahead of it, and you don't have to wait for a newspaper to come out to explain, what's coming up in the next 3 days or something.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing, and you send them out once a month usually, and that's kind of a valuable way to get the word out. Let's talk about events, because that's one of the ways that people get educated about what we've been doing. Like we do a lot of lectures. You do a lot of lectures personally.
Yeah.
What have we done, like in the last, say, 6 months or so?
Okay.
Or say since the first of the year, maybe.
Yeah, obviously an organization like this gets a little slow in the winter because our museum isn't open. We only have it open in the summer, spring, summer, fall. But what we have done so far this year is that we had a really great lecture on Prudence Island by Joe Baines, who is the Prudence Island historian. I've known Joe for about 25 years, and he knows that place cold. And he came out and gave us a real down-home lecture, which was great, about all the evolutions that have gone on in Prudence Island, which a lot of people don't know belongs to Portsmouth. And they are Portsmouth residents and Portsmouth taxpayers as well.
Yeah, he had some great stories to tell.
Yeah, he has great stories about it. Then beyond that, I did a lecture on Prohibition in Newport County, which was, that's a lot of fun to do. There was a great deal of activity around here because of the coast, the proximity of the coast. The Secunda River was a very busy place for rum running back in those days. And then on the 7th of March, which is sort of a town holiday now, we call it Founders Day, and we recognize the fact that our town was founded on the 7th of March. The Portsmouth Compact, which is an agreement they wrote in Boston before they came here, which told them, by which they bound themselves together. They were going out in the wilderness, essentially coming here. And so they signed this compact. And the compact still exists. It's in the state archives. And for the last 3 years on Founders Day, we've been able to show it. People from the archives have come down, brought it down to show. And it's really incredible to look at those signatures that were written in 1638. They really, it really brings history alive. So Founders Day was a really big event as well. I also spoke about the founding of Portsmouth at that point. One of the really unique events that we had this year was our trivia contest, Portsmouth History Trivia Contest. And it was about 3 weeks ago. And what we did was to create teams. They created the teams. We had 2 from the middle school and 4 from the high school. Teams of about 4 or 5 or so each, except one person was a one-man team. He did pretty well, too.
Yeah, he did.
And they competed over 25 questions that ranged from 1 to 5 points each. And the competition was extremely close. And one of the middle school teams won. That was really a great thing for them. They were very excited. And we've now created a plaque which we are going to present to the school, and it will get passed around from middle school to high school back and forth as the teams succeed in what will be our annual trivia contest. Now, beyond that, while we're talking about trivia, we're also going to have an adult trivia Portsmouth history contest, and that's coming up on April 20th. It's going to be at the Valley Inn over on the West Main Road, and we're recruiting teams. We're trying to get people interested to set up a team. And we say anywhere from 2 to 6 people per team. We'd like you to pre-register your teams, and we do that at PHS info at PortsmouthHistoricalSociety.org. PortsmouthHistorical.org.
I think it's up on the monitor now.
Got it on the screen. Okay. And so we're really anxious to see how the adults in our town recognize various parts of Portsmouth history. Again, it's a very rich history. It's a fascinating thing for me to do, because when I put the questions together, and when I started out I had 116 questions. Wow. And then I boiled that down to 25, and some people think I picked the wrong ones. One comment I got recently was there weren't enough multiple choice questions. But anyway, it was a test, and what was really great was that the scores came out for the kids. It was like, I don't know exact numbers, but say 42, 40, 40,
yeah, very
39.
Close.
I mean, it really came out close. And that was really great. And the kids really had a good time. We had no idea how this was going to go over, but it really went over well. It was really a fun time. We all had that.
Yeah, it was nice seeing the support of the middle school principal
right
down there, too. So.
Yeah, we had it at the Gulfstream restaurant, Gulfstream Grill down at Melville. And they were very happy with it, too. It was really good.
Now, this one coming up on the 20th, we might get some high school or middle school teams. It's open to anybody.
Yeah, and for their benefit, we're going to change a lot of the questions.
So,
so don't think you know all the answers. We're going to have different questions.
Right.
But we want to limit it to 12 teams, and so we really would like people to register for that. And it should be a really fun time, so we're really looking forward to that. This idea has caught on. We got great press coverage on it, and we really want to.
Well, I think all of us that were involved had a great time.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Also, as far as coming events in May, the 13th of May, we're going to have a representative who he works for RIDOT, but his big job is cemeteries. And one of the projects we're working on for the whole year is to survey the historic cemeteries in Portsmouth. And so Jacob Bajan is his name, and he's going to come and give us a talk. And we're going to do something a little unusual with that. We're going to have the talk in a cemetery. He wants to point out stones and things like that while he's talking, and so we're really looking forward to that. That's on May 13th, and we'll be at the cemetery on Turnpike Avenue, Turnpike and Dexter Street there. We'll have a lot of publicity going on that also. Then in July, what we're going to do is we have some people, we did this last year, so some people saw it. We have a copy of a second generation copy of the Declaration of Independence in the town hall. It has an interesting history to it. I did a lot of research in the town hall as back as 35 years ago, and at one point we found this parchment copy of the Declaration of Independence in a broken frame on the floor behind the filing cabinet. Mainly through the efforts of John Pierce and the town clerk at that point, it was resurrected, and what we found out by sending it to the National Archives for authentication was that it was a second generation. Christopher Southwick took the original Declaration of Independence and a couple days later made a copy that went to each town in Rhode Island, and there are 5 of them left. We have 1. 2 are in private hands. It's an extremely valuable document, and we put it on display and have somebody talk about the Declaration of Independence.
So was it dated 1776 then?
It's dated, I believe it's July 9th, 1776.
Okay, so right after the 4th, yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's a first generation beyond the original.
Yeah.
Other things, we probably will do something again at Founders Brook with the Friends of Anne Hutchinson. We had quite a big show there last year. And that's always a good thing to do. Founders Brook is a little-known location for a lot of Portsmouth people, and it's right off Boys Lane. There's a sign there, and we would encourage people to come out and take a look. There's some really great monuments and markers there. There's a piece of pudding stone that has the original Portsmouth Compact on it. There's an Anne Hutchinson herb garden. There's lots. It's a great picnic area, and we really hope people will find it.
Yeah, and it's very deceptive going in because it looks like it's kind of right next to some kind
construction
of
company.
construction company.
Right.
But you have to walk up, and it opens up into a beautiful little park.
Yeah.
And that's presumably where the spring where they had water from, and they had their first meetings and things in the park.
Yeah, that's part of the center of the original settlement.
Yeah.
There. And so beyond that, we have other lectures scheduled over the late summer and fall. We're going to be doing a lot of different things over the course of this year. We really are energized, and we really want the people of Portsmouth to be energized about their history.
Yeah.
It's very valuable.
And I think these events and things that the Historical Society puts on is a great way to introduce people to some of this stuff. I should mention too this cemetery workshop. This is another opportunity for people, members or non-members even,
Right.
who want to get involved in actually going out and doing some field work, looking at this stuff. We're doing this kind of to aid the town planner in the development of the comprehensive plan. So
Right.
there is some civic use of this thing.
Yeah, the cemeteries were surveyed in 1993, and unfortunately it's been published in a small book, or a spiral-bound book. But unfortunately, a lot of the forms were handwritten, and they're really hard to read. So we hope to upgrade that, and we know that the town council is currently considering a small tax break for people who have these historic cemeteries in their yards, and we're trying to survey them in order to establish where they are, so that people can then take advantage of that once we get going.
Yeah, so this is kind of an important survey, and it's going to be going on at the same time we're looking at houses, I think, too,
Right.
historic homes in
Yeah.
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth has a whole lot of early houses, and I've written 6 books, and the first one I wrote was on the historic houses of Portsmouth 40 years ago. Oh my God.
Now they're even more historical.
Right, and so we're upgrading that, and we also had a survey done by the Rhode Island Historic Preservation Commission in 1979. And the town planner, Gary Crosby, is putting those together and riding around the town, and we're finding all kinds of additional ones there. I mean, again, we encourage people to get involved in that too, because it takes a little bit of expertise or curiosity, I guess is really the better word, to find out. And again, a lot of people live in historic houses and don't know that, and don't know how old they are. And so we're going to add some help in terms of design and structure and things like that, so that people can know more. And hopefully, my hope is that someday we can get historic markers on the historic homes.
Yeah,
I think that's really
it'd be a
good
great
thing.
ultimate thing to do for folks. This is one of those things that does require people to do,
Right.
because I think you also mentioned on cemeteries, for example, there's a lot of old pictures, but there's no connection to slides.
Yeah.
So what we need to do probably is re-photograph all these things. And like I said, I just think it'd be a great opportunity for people who may be working during the normal day, they don't have time, but it's something they could do on the weekend or in their time off. That'd be kind of fun.
And that's one thing Jacob's going to show us when he does his lecture. He's going to show us how to photograph stones with the right lighting and everything, because a lot of them are pretty worn and pretty hard to read.
Yeah, so these are both projects that help the town and also I think would be fun for our membership.
Right.
Every year we have a docent group. Now it's led by Nancy Crawford, formerly Marge Webster, but every year they put together a different themed exhibit. And I know they've been working on this year's theme
Right.
over the winter. What is the theme this year?
The title was Out of the Attic, and it's a lot of different aspects of things people find in their attic. Old photographs. We're going to have displays of the opening of the Mount Hope Bridge, of the coal mine that was in Portsmouth, the library history. There are all kinds of different things, and we have a lot of artifacts and documents that can contribute to those displays, which will really be great. That's going to be set up pretty soon. They're working on it this month, and we will have an open house. We really love to have docents, and people get scared off by requests to be a docent because I don't know anything. Well, almost in every case, when you are a docent working at our museum from Memorial Day to 1 or 2 weekends between Memorial Day and Columbus Day, you'll have a veteran there with you. And plus, we're going to do docent training on May 20th, is it? I think it's what
Yes, it is, the day before.
And then our open house on the 21st. And then the museum will be open to the open house will be for members, and then the next week we'll have the beginning of our museum openness. A little bit about the museum maybe is that we have an old church that was built in 1865, replacing another church that was on the same site. It was a Christian Union church at that point, and in the basement of it we have our displays, and above, on the second floor is a church that was restored in 1996. It's beautiful, and we're working hard to get a grant for ADA accessibility so that we can really open that up for anybody for a lot of meetings and things like that, because the church will hold about 200 people. So we have that building, and then we have the old town hall, which was an early 19th century town hall, which really, when you look at it, is kind of like a big barn. And in that we have a lot of farm equipment. We have an 1890 hearse. We have one horse open sleighs with jingle bells on them.
2 of them.
Yeah, and we have an old mail wagon from 1902, and a lot of farm implements are in that. That's really a neat place to walk around and just sort of look at things.
It is.
Beyond that, we have what's called the Southernmost School, which was authorized in 1717 and built in 1725, and that's a one-room schoolhouse. We feel pretty confident saying it's the oldest one in Rhode Island. Some people, and I never like to go too much of the first ever, but a lot of people feel it's one of the oldest ones in the country.
Yeah, that little video intro that we had, I think you pointed out what these things look like and what's inside. Let me go back to the docent thing again, because I'm kind of wondering whether the word docent might scare people off. Essentially, they're kind of like hosts.
Right.
And they don't necessarily have to explain everything about the museum.
Right.
You know, they just have to kind of know generally where the stuff is and some key points.
Yeah, the good thing about our museum is that it's pretty much self-guided. There are tags and so on everything. And so people can just walk around and absorb the stuff or spend as long as they want at a particular place. We don't lead people around. We follow them around more to answer their questions if they have them. But to be a docent, really, again, you don't have to be an expert. And that's really an important thing, because it does scare some people off. Somebody asks me a question I can't answer. Well, don't worry about that.
No, you can't be expected to know everything. We do have some of our members who are very, history-minded, but there's too much in there for anybody to memorize. Let me just mention that again, though. If somebody wants to become a docent or wants to go through the training, I think they can go on the website and probably click on the docent link. But I think it's phsdocent at portsmouthhistorical.org if they wanted to go directly to
and they can contact me or any member and just let us know of your interest, and we will get back to you and invite you to the docent training.
Okay, on the 20th, and that's the 20th of May. Right. What time is that going to be? In the afternoon?
2 to 4.
2 to 4. Okay. And then getting back to our building, I think one of the things that certainly when I joined is it's a beautiful old building upstairs. It's really gorgeous,
Really
but there's
is.
no way to get handicapped people up there right now. And I think you'll agree we are making progress, though. We're looking at even going out to the extent of getting bids and things on an elevator.
Right.
We're going to make the downstairs ADA accessible with a ramp this spring.
This year, yeah.
So, I mean, we're not talking too far away that this might be available to anyone for, as I say, we would use it ourselves a lot, but it could be available to other people, maybe even for a wedding or something like that.
Yeah,
It'd be a gorgeous place to do
great
that.
facility.
Also, you mentioned the Prudence Island Historical Society. Are there other organizations locally that we're kind of working with?
We reached out last year to the Tiverton Historical Society and got some good feedback. We had a meeting. Some of our board met with their members of their board, and we have exchanged some information. I know a number of us have joined the Tiverton Historical Society. Can I say something about that? Just because you live in Middletown or Newport doesn't mean you can't belong to the Portsmouth Historical Society. It's not exclusive by town. I belong to 5 of them myself, and it really is, you can cross the road or cross the boundary and get into another one. So we're really reaching out to people from all over Newport County, really, to get members.
Yeah. We'll eventually be doing something with some of these folks. For example, this year I think is the 240th?
40th.
Yeah,
40th.
240th anniversary of Barton's Raid, which is my favorite story here. So we'll do something maybe with Tiverton, because that's where the whole thing kind of started at.
Yeah, that was a raid at Prescott Farm where General Prescott was captured.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why we named it Prescott Farm, I don't know.
Don't get me started on that.
We're getting close to being out of time already, believe it or not. But we got a couple other key dates coming up. You want to mention those?
The May ones?
Yeah.
June? Yeah. First of all, docent training on May 20th, 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and you don't have to sign up ahead of time. We'd like you to if possible, but just show up. Then on May 21st, which is Sunday, we have our members open house, and I will be giving a short lecture on how the Historical Society came about and how it got organized and what we've done for, I believe it's 79 years now. And then on the 28th of May, which is the next Sunday, we will open the museum for the first time to everyone, and again 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and we'll have visitors hopefully from then all the way through to Columbus Day. That's really our intention, and we want lots of visitors. We want a lot of people to come. June 19th, which is a Monday night, we have our annual meeting, and we'll have a speaker for that, and have our election for our board of directors. We have I believe it's 16 members on our board, by the way, all of whom really contribute a lot and do a lot of work, and so we want to recognize them.
Okay, and just press on and come on down and see us and join us, I guess is the message.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, Jim. We're out of time, and
Thank you.
thank you. We'll see you the next time on Portsmouth This Week.